I'm Tony Sklar for BNet TV, coming to you live from the mobile internet world here in Boston. I am here with Marc Patterson, I almost did it again, from BT Global Services. How are you?
Doing fine, Tony.
Great, excellent. Why don't you give us a little bit of rundown on what BT Global Services does? Obviously, it's part of the British Telecom family, but in particular, what your division does.
Well, BT Global Services is one of the fastest growing areas of BT right now. It really is the wing that's taking BT out of being its legacy UK-centric sort of voice provider into actually being much more diverse in terms of applications, professional services, and ultimately driving broader solutions for organizations.
We had just about 6 weeks ago come out of London at the Symbian Smartphone Show. We had a chance to talk with some of the BT executives there as well. We talked about some of the, obviously, the ecosystem and how it's developing and what the reach was in Europe. Why don't you give us a little bit of an enlightened opinion on North America, though?
Well, I think that what you're seeing from BT's perspective is the amount of collaboration that's going on. It's one of the biggest areas for change, I think, in this whole industry, particularly mobility right now, is the amount of collaboration that's going on between organizations that were traditionally rivals or even competitors. And so I think what we're finding now is that in North America, the kinds of partnerships that we're striking right now are going to the heart of who are the best providers, who is in line strategically with the direction that we see things going, particularly as we're looking at applications in this whole mobility space. And so I think what you're going to find in terms of BT, there's a combination of investments that we're making. You see that in the form of the acquisitions that we've had, and Infonet, and then obviously in the security space, and obviously in the professional services area with what we've done. So I think that you're finding that BT's making very pointed investments in the U.S. in order to be able to expand its reach and ultimately the services it's delivering.
The services it's delivering, though, is not just for its BT customers that are coming throughout the rest of the globe. We're also talking about enhancing further customers' experiences here within the U.S., not obviously just BT customers, but you're also helping develop smaller applications from other developers that is part of the ecosystem in managing the monetization of the value chain.
Absolutely. No, I think that's probably one of the biggest changes you're seeing with regards to BT, is that traditionally we viewed professional services, application services as sort of an add-on to the network experience. What you're finding now is that because of the expertise that BT is able to bring to organizations, that more and more organizations are looking to us as an agent of transformation for them, so that we're able to actually provide for them the kinds of capabilities that go beyond the network. And so that you're finding environments now where the network isn't the center of what we're doing for an organization, and isn't the center of what we're doing when we collaborate with application providers, operating system manufacturers, and so forth. So it's a very collaborative environment that we're in right now.
Well, I always find that this industry is the wild, wild west. I continually use that phrase over and over again because that pendulum swings one day this way and one day that way, and we're finding that either the horse is driving the cart or the cart's driving the horse, one of the two. So in this particular conference, obviously we're seeing a little bit more of the partnered global reach than we do, let's say, maybe a CTIA, which we've just sort of come from, where it really was from the development standpoint. We saw a lot of small companies developing applications and really pushing and driving the handset manufacturers and carriers into opening up their ecosystem to develop within those organizations. We see Linux. I had a good conversation with Access earlier today regarding that open platform, and we're seeing much more development side on the Linux. Let's talk about what BT is doing within that. Again, I'm going to use the term ecosystem. I don't like to use it so much, but let's talk about what your positioning is going to be in the future and how you're going to try to solve a lot of those problems.
Well, I think you see in a number of spaces. If you look at what's happening in the mobility space for us right now, the level of collaboration that we're doing is very much evidenced by the involvement we have in FMCA from a fixed mobile convergence perspective, the involvement we have with the Wi-Fi alliances that are out there, as well as what's happening with regards to the wireless broadband alliance. We're in an environment right now in which we can ill afford to be doing it ourselves.
Right.
And so I think that we're very supportive of the open initiatives that are going on right now. We're very much supportive of these environments where we're able to provide a number of components our organizations and to the customers that are coming to us.
Okay, so what is in the future for BT Global Operations here in the U.S.? What's that driving force that we're going to see in the next couple of months?
I think that we're going to continue to be pushing the direction we go with transformation for organizations. There seems to be a very positive response coming out of U.S. multinationals because BT comes to the U.S. with a very global perspective. We're no longer in an environment in which organizations are saying, I want to go global. What they're looking at now is I want to be able to go multi-domestic. And they're looking for organizations that have that kind of expertise in country that's able to take their application environment and be able to transcend it for them.
Let's talk about Transmedia and Yankee Group putting on this wonderful conference here today, and your panel in particular. What are you going to be speaking about?
I'm actually going to be talking about the trends in the global internet world. What's happening right now from a global perspective that U.S. organizations need to be a little bit more sensitive to. We're in an age now where globalization obviously is a very hot topic. How do organizations better understand the trends that are going on out there and cater to their user environments? Because increasingly we're finding that organizations are making much more localized decisions. And if IT organizations aren't open in how they bring those organizations and those requirements into their overall design of their own enterprise ecosystem, they're going to find that they're going to generally fail in terms of those deployments.
That's pretty easy to say when you're a BT because you've got a big pot of cash and a war chest behind you that can allow you with some good longevity to sit and not wait around, sorry, I take that back, but to sit and watch a lot of the little players and how they can move about. There are a lot of small companies out there that continue to monetize that value chain,
I think, but again, by the same point, you've got to look at those are the same organizations that BT tends to be collaborating with because we're in an age of innovation, and innovation is not something that's born within one particular organization. The world isn't going to be driven by the next innovation that Microsoft talks about. We're going to be in an environment in which there are going to be much more smaller organizations with much more specialized applications and capabilities that are going to drive standards. You see that happening with the FMCA right now, that it's smaller organizations that are speaking up for what they believe are the ways that the standards should be driven.
Well, hopefully we've learned from our past experiences over in the internet age when there were a number of SROs that maybe were over-regulating it, and definitely the government getting their fingertips in there for sure, and the large organizations trying to control that a little bit more. Maybe we'll learn from that experience, and these smaller organizations will help those standards bring forward a new era that will help that value chain and that commerce flow a little better throughout the world.
It certainly seems that from a regulatory perspective, that's the way that the governments want things to go. They want to have an environment that really promotes this kind of openness. It's ultimately good for commerce for organizations and for countries. Yeah, well, ultimately, I think that what it gives is the freedom of choice because we're still in an era where there's no one silver bullet when it comes to a solution for an enterprise. And so organizations need to be able to bring together a number of components. And I think that the more open that environment and the interoperability is addressed, which I think is most key right now, I think that the better off the entire environment's going to be.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time and the opportunity to speak with me today here at the Mobile Internet World, and I hope that maybe in the future, 3GSM, the next CTIA, or even CES, we have a chance to do this one more time and see how things have progressed.
We always seem to show up at those.
All right, well, we'll be sitting in on your panel, and we'll splice a little bit of that in with this interview, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to do it again. Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tony.
Okay, I'm Tony Sklar from BNet TV, here with Marc Patterson from BT Global Operations.